The House will come to order. The Pledge of Allegiance this morning will be led by Jake Krupka, Carter Mateer, Elena Bishop, and Brett Wisely. Who wants that?
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Kohler, please take the roll.
Representative Becker. Representative Becker.
You guys want to take a picture? Yeah. Who do you got?
Becker.
Absent.
Absent. Buck. Buckner. Conti. Corum. Court. Representative Court.
You too. Absent.
Absent. Del Grosso.
Definitely absent.
Dorr. Duran. Everett. Representative Everett. Representative Court is present. Representative Everett. Absent. Exum. Fields. Representative Fields. Fisher. Foote. Garcia. Gardner. Representative Becker is present. Representative Gardner.
You were absent for a while.
Gardner.
Absent.
Absent.
Not here is absent.
Okay, Giroux. She's here. Janal. Hamner. Holbert. Hollyhorse. Humphrey. Joshi. Kagan. Representative Kagan. Absent. Kraft Tharp is present. Labuda. Landgraf. Lawrence. Lebsock. Lee. May. McCann. McLaughlin. McNulty. Melton. Mitch Bush. Moreno. Murray. Navarro. Nordberg. Pabon. Peniston. Pedersen. Primavera. Representative Primavera. Priola. Yeah. Rankin. Rosenthal. Ryden. Sane. Salazar. Schaefer. Scott. Singer. Sonnenberg. Stevens. Swam. Zabo. Tyler. Vigil. Waller. Williams. Wilson. Wright. Young. Speaker Farinita. Who? Oh yeah, that's it. Thanks. That's 3 X.
So 62 and 3?
Yeah.
With 62 members present, three absent, a quorum is present. We got to do the journal, Representative Rosenthal. You do it all week, every day, all week.
Yes, I'd love to be there.
Same time, well, different time today, but Representative Waller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. By the way, I know some people who might work on a recall if that's necessary. Mr. Speaker, I move we waive the reading of the journal for March 4th and ask that it be dispensed with and approved as written by the Chief Clerk.
Do you want to add a fine to Representative Rosenthal in that motion?
And Mr. Speaker, I move that if you vote yes for once, just yes for one time, I move that Representative Rosenthal be fined $3.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The ayes definitely have it this time. The motion passes and Representative Rosenthal is fined $3. Representative Rosenthal. Or Representative Waller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm putting it on a mailer that I actually passed a journal motion with aye votes.
Representative Rosenthal.
I'm glad that at least one Waller bill will pass this session.
Okay. Now real announcements. Representative Rosenthal.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the reading of the
We
journal.
already passed it, Representative Rosenthal. Waller did it.
I want to do it.
It's too late. Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I have an announcement to make. I publicly, personally want to thank Representative Rosenthal for not wearing what he wore yesterday. I hope he never wears it again. And secondly, I've already been told I look like a parochial school girl, so knock it off.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, if you look on your desk, this is the Colorado Legislators Handbook. It's bright orange. You can't miss it. We would like to make sure that it is on your desk for a reason, and we ask you to please read it. That is the request of Ms. Marilyn Edens. So I'll make sure that you have it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Kraft-Hart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to invite the Jefferson County legislators to join me. So today we are honored to welcome our future leaders, those people that will be sitting in these seats in the future with us. We have 35 high school participants of the Youth Leadership Jefferson County. Please welcome them. Woo! You're not Jefferson County.
I am. I have a. I am.
Representative Joshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'm requesting to be excused tomorrow and Friday, and I have talked to the majority leader and the assistant minority leader too. Thank you.
Representative Joshi be excused as requested. Representative Swam.
That's fine. Members, I am pleased to make a bipartisan announcement with Representative Williams about an exciting event tomorrow. It's Insurance Day at the Capitol, and since we're both insurance agents, we feel it's appropriate to bring this to your attention. Tomorrow, do you want, Angela, why don't you talk about it? Representative Williams.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, tomorrow in the old Supreme Court chambers from 8:15 to noon will be Property and Casualty Insurance Day at the Capitol. We would suggest you drop by. The Property Insurance Day at the Capitol has grown over the years, and we have a lot of agents coming in, and I think if you have an agent in your district, they would love to hear from you.
Representative Swam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I understand there's going to be about 500 agents here tomorrow, so I think virtually every part of the state will be represented, and I strongly encourage you to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Representative Tyler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've talked to the minority leader and the majority leader, and the minority leader says it's just fine if I don't show up till tomorrow at 9:45, and I think the majority leader thinks that's not so bad either.
Representative Tyler be excused as requested. Representative Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I request to be excused on Thursday, March 6th and Friday, March 7th, and I've spoken with the majority leader and the minority leader.
Representative Fisher be excused as requested. Representative Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I can't help but do a flashback to study hall at Poudre High School in 1969 and 70 by the activity here in the chambers. And so I think it's only fitting that we welcome the Poudre High School class of 2014, who I believe is in the gallery up there. So members, please welcome the Poudre High School government class.
Oh, excused. Okay, excused. Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to welcome and recognize the director of the Routt County United Way, who's up in the gallery. She and her organization do a fantastic job for all the people in our community. Yay! Woohoo!
Further, Representative Court.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Finance Committee, those interested in House Bill 1269, it's off the calendar for today. We'll continue working on it. Thank you.
Sometimes it gets quiet if you're just quiet. Representative Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm requesting to be excused Friday, March 7th and Monday, March 10th, and I've spoken with the Minority Leader and the Majority Leader.
Representative Wright will be excused as requested. Seeing no, Representative Fisher for a tribute. Members, can we have your attention? Thank you.
Members, thank you very much. It's my honor today to recognize the Colorado and Wyoming chapters of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. We have several members of that group here in the chambers with us today. This week, all week, is MS Awareness Week here in Colorado and around the country. And today, the MS Society will be presented with a tribute that's going to be presented over in the Senate. But I just wanted to bring your attention to this, to the fact that multiple sclerosis is a chronic, progressive autoimmune disease that affects the central nervous system, including the brain, optic nerves, and spinal cord. It's a disease that affects each person differently and often acts in unpredictable ways. More than 13,000 Coloradans suffer from multiple sclerosis, and it's vital that citizens understand the disease and its effect on the population. While multiple sclerosis is not a fatal disease, and while some individuals with multiple sclerosis are able to lead full and productive lives, there remains no cure. The state of Colorado, I think, has a role and responsibility to recognize the great work that is being done on behalf of multiple sclerosis victims, and so it's my pleasure to welcome them to the chamber. And I have a challenge to all of you here in the chamber. Back on my desk, I think you'll see a jersey that I wore with pride in the Bike MS event for several years. I'm what's called a high roller because in 2012 I raised over $2,000 for the MS Society by riding in this bicycle event, which the event, there's a two-day event that goes 150 miles back and forth from Westminster to Fort Collins. There's also just a one-day event that you could participate in. So if you'd like more information about participating in the Bike MS event this year, it'll be the last weekend in June. It's a great event, great way to raise money for the MS Society. And I want to especially recognize my niece Erin, who is a victim of MS, and she's my personal connection to this disease. So thank you.
Representative Peniston.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it is my pleasure to introduce an international delegation from Turkey. They are on their way over from the Senate as we speak, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity to introduce them. Many of us here have taken a trip to Turkey with the Mosaic Foundation. Representative Primavera, Labuda, Hullinghorst, Joshi, Lawrence, Conti, Dorr, myself. I hope I didn't miss anybody. But our delegation this morning, and this is going to be interesting, is made up of Fatih Chopar, runs hospitals and automobile galleries in Turkey and is interested in hospital equipment. Ayup Sabre Chopar, and I guess I should be glad that they're actually not here yet to hear their names being butchered. The Peugeot Automobile Galleries and Shops. Moreau Chopar, same Peugeot Automobile Galleries. Serkon Mastoye sells computer parts, computers, and alarm systems. Ahmet Yayaolu, steel casting for trains, is interested in steel business. Mustafa Bayram Gul Construction Company builds hotels, football stadiums in Turkey and abroad. Hasim Gulbosh Construction Company. Metun Seyalla Heating and Cooling Systems, and Hasbri Sojon Chamber of Commerce of Zonguldak in Turkey. So, and I believe they are actually joining us as we speak. And their sponsor here is also the Honorable Suzanne Williams, former senator in the state of Colorado. So thank you all for being here. We welcome you today.
Any further announcements or introductions? Seeing none, we will proceed to our next order of business. General orders, second reading of bills. Representative Singer. You've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the House will resolve itself in the committee of the whole for consideration of general orders. Representative Singer will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the coat rule is relaxed. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1042.
House Bill 1042, Representative Sane, all Senator talk drop concerning access by birth parents to records relating to the relinquishment of parental rights.
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1042 and committee reports on health care and human services and appropriations.
All right, to the appropriations report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this simply makes an appropriation clause.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Committee report passes. Representative Sane, to the report on public health care and human services.
Yes, on the public health care and human services, we have a technical amendment.
Is there any further discussion on the Public Health Care and Human Services Committee report? Seeing none. All those in favor of the Public Health Care and Human Services Committee report, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. The committee report is adopted. Representative Sane, to the bill.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This bill, members, simply addresses two simple concepts. One, birth parents are entitled to any documents they sign or any document generated by the court related to relinquishment. And second, we want to align this access that already exists.
Representative Sane, hold on one second. Members, if I can't hear, you definitely can't hear. If we can keep the dull roar a little duller, I would appreciate that. Representative Sane, please continue. Thank you, members.
Thank you so much, sir. So we simply want to align this access that exists now for all time periods, not just 2003 forward. I did want to thank Catholic Charities and Lutheran Charities for all their hard work and input on this bill.
Further discussion on the bill?
I do have several amendments, Mr. Chair.
Continue, Representative Sane.
Certainly.
You keep one copy, get Marilyn the staff.
Okay.
And then move it. Which one do you want to do first?
Actually, Beth has the first one I want to do.
Okay. She wants you to move your amendment first. Yes. Got a wild machine going on right now.
Okay.
I'm going to hand your packet.
Representative McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move an amendment that I haven't given to the staff yet. I move Amendment L010 to House Bill 1042 and ask that it be displayed.
L010 has been moved and is blurrily, there we go, is properly displayed. To the amendment, Representative McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, members, this amendment will remove the county department and the county attorney from the bill, and the reason is that they deal with termination of parental rights with respect to dependency and neglect actions only, which are excluded from the bill. The bill deals with the voluntary relinquishment of parental rights. So this is at the request of the county agencies, and will simply clarify that they are excluded from this bill.
Any further discussion on Amendment L010? Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just have a question. Why are we excluding the county?
Representative McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Landgraf, they deal with termination of parental rights in dependency and neglect actions only, which are excluded from this bill. So this bill deals with voluntary relinquishment. And I believe the amendment's acceptable to the sponsor.
It's a friendly amendment. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion on Amendment L010? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Amendment L010. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. L010 is passed. Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would like to move Amendment L016 and ask it be displayed.
If you would like to, do you move it?
Where's your packet?
Representative Garcia, do you move?
I move Amendment L016.
All right. Amendment L016 has been moved and is now properly displayed. To the amendment, Representative Garcia. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I understand from the stakeholders' work on this, want to thank them, that we needed additional clarification. Some of the child protection agencies may not have some of these documents available at the time, and some of them didn't always exist for the protection agencies, and they should not be held liable for the documents that did not exist at that point. I have presented this with the bill sponsor, and we believe this is a good solution.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L016? Representative Sane.
Yes, this is a friendly amendment. I urge aye vote.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion on Amendment L016, the question before the body is the passage of Amendment L016. All those in favor, Representative Primavera?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question. How do we know that they're not available? I mean, do you know, Representative Sane?
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And in reference to that question, simply, the only thing we want to do with this is make sure that the agencies weren't liable for documents that didn't exist. Because some documents aren't the same as they were 20, 30 years ago. That's all.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on Amendment L016? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of L016. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. L016 is passed. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1042, Representative Sane?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move Amendment L018.
You would like to move it, or do you move it?
I'm moving it.
All right.
I move.
All right. Amendment L018 has been properly moved and properly almost properly displayed.
Almost properly.
All right. To the amendment, Representative Sane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this looks like a long amendment, but members, all this does is narrow the scope of the documents that were referenced in the original bill. So if you look at the original bill, it strikes a broader language giving birth parent access to any document in which they are named, and 2, ensures that certain records are given only to the person, the birth mother versus birth father, to whom it pertains, and accommodates for the fact that some documents in use today just simply did not exist in the past.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L018? Seeing none, the question before the body.
One more amendment.
Oh, Representative Sane. Are you moving a substitute amendment
Yes,
here?
I'm moving a substitute amendment, L019.
All right, Representative Sane, you're moving a substitute amendment to Amendment L018? Oh, it's not a substitute.
This is amending the floor amendment, L018. On page 1, striking line 21 and substituting. Yes, amendment to the amendment. I'm
So
sorry.
this is an amendment to the amendment,
Yes.
Representative Sane?
Yes.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. Simply, this will just add strike line 21 and substitute these two.
All right, any further discussion on Amendment L019? Representative Priola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Sane, what is the need for this substitute amendment on L018 again?
Again, it just clarifies.
Representative Sane, wait for me to recognize you. Thank you. I know you want to answer quickly, but Representative Sane, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It simply just clarifies the agreement that was made in L018 and just adds 2 other documents we both agreed to.
So we're amending
Representative
108.
Priola.
Thank you,
Please
Mr. Chair. So we're
please
amending
continue.
108 and then we'll adopt 108, correct?
Representative Sane.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we will, Representative Priola. Thank you so much.
Is there any further discussion or banter on Amendment L019? Seeing none, the question is the passage of L019. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. L019 is passed. To the amendment L018.
I urge and I vote, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Sane. The question before is there any further discussion on L018? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of L018. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. Man, you guys are quieter saying aye than anything else. But I believe that amendment is passed. To the bill, Representative Sane.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a simple bill addressing 2 different concepts as far as getting access to documents that folks in Colorado have signed and just simply aligning that across all time periods. I ask for a yes vote.
Representative Priola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to commend Representative Sane for running this bill, a concern from a constituent and working with the stakeholders in the process. She's to be very commended for her efforts.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1042? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1042 as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. House Bill 1042 is passed. Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1253 be laid over to the end of the calendar.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1253 will be laid over to the end of the calendar. Mr. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1186.
House Bill 1186, Representative Schaefer, all Senator Aguilar, concerning the release of medical records to a person other than the patient in connection with setting reasonable fees to be paid for the release of medical records.
Representative Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1186 from the Health, Insurance, and Environment Committee. The committee report.
To the committee report.
I have a floor amendment, Mr. Chair.
All right. Representative Schaefer, we are waiting for, please let us know what amendment this is.
This is L003.
All right, have you
please.
moved L003?
I move L003.
Thank you, Representative Schaefer. L003 has been moved and is properly displayed. To the amendment, Representative Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this floor amendment addresses some questions that came up in the committee meeting. The stakeholders agreed on ensuring that third parties helping people with disabilities have the ability to get records free of charge for an appeal or required reapplication. They also agreed on ensuring that government agencies and entities will not pay more than what they pay now. We agreed on cleaning up some language that inadvertently omitted the HIPAA-compliant written authorization. And we agreed that dropping the cost of living inflation adjustment so that we would do a one-time increase in the rates. And these are included, as you can see, in the amendment up there, if you want to see what the rates are. And these rates are based on the actual change in the Consumer Price Index since 2008, when the rates were last updated. So I move L003.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of L003. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. L003 is passed. Representative Schaefer.
Mr. Chair, I move the committee report. The committee report states that all health providers must provide copies of medical records to third parties upon the patient's request or the patient's personal representative's request, and that the fee must be a HIPAA-compliant authorization, a valid subpoena, or a court order upon payment of the reasonable fees which were agreed on in the amendment L003. I move the committee report.
All right. The question, is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing no further discussion, the question is the adoption of the committee report as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. The committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1186 as amended. And what this bill does, members, is that the Department of Public Health and Environment recently eliminated regulations defining what reasonable fees should be. And this, these fees that are charged a reasonable fee to parties, third parties such as insurance companies and lawyers, need to be set in statute so that they are reasonable. So this bill puts a cap on the fees into the statute, but it does not impact fees that patients pay, as those are regulated by the federal HIPAA law, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. So with that, members, I think this is a good bill, and I ask for your support of 1186 as amended.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1186? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1186. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. House Bill 1186 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1216 to the end of the calendar.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1216 will be laid over to the end of the calendar. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1089.
House Bill 1089, Representative Hamner, Senator Schwartz, concerning the qualification for person to use the 10th Mountain Division license plate.
Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1089 and the report from the Committee on Transportation.
To the committee report, Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the committee, we amended the bill to remove the fiscal impact to the Department of Revenue, which is really a great thing. So I ask for your support of the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before the body is passage of the committee report to House Bill 1089. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. The committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And colleagues, if you've been looking for a reason to support a license plate bill, listen up. This is the reason to support a license plate bill. House Bill 1089 is about the 10th Mountain Division license plate, which we already have in Colorado. And people who are interested in remembering the legacy of these amazing men who trained at Camp Hale in World War II for mountain adventures overseas and in Europe, trained right at Camp Hale near Tennessee Pass on the border of Eagle and Lake County. And this is one of the 5th or 6th most popular license plates in Colorado. But most people don't realize that none of the money that they spend to have this wonderful license plate that honors the legacy of these great men, they don't realize that none of the money goes to the 10th Mountain Division Foundation. So House Bill 1089 allows for that opportunity for people who want to live, support the legacy of the 10th Mountain Division.
Representative Hammer, excuse me one sec. Members, you were doing so good, so well.
Thank you.
Thank you. You were doing so well, and I was doing so well. If we can keep the dull roar just a little duller, folks, we can hear a little bit more about license plates for the 10th Mountain Division. Continue, Representative Hamner.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, colleagues. I appreciate that. I'll make it quick. But House Bill 1089 does allow people who would like the legacy to live on and purchase one of these license plates to be able to also have a contribution go to the 10th Mountain Division Foundation. The foundation does incredible work with living history and education in our schools and out in our communities. They also take care of a memorial every year to honor these great men who trained up at Camp Hale and were part of the 10th Mountain Division, and also maintains a series of huts up in the mountains for the public, but also especially for veterans and active military. So I ask for your support of House Bill 1089.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1089? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1089. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. The chair is not in doubt. House Bill 1089 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1148.
House Bill 1148, Representative Fields, Senator John, concerning guidelines for ensuring the rights of victims of crime to participate in the criminal justice system.
Representative Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1148 and the committee and the appropriation report.
Representative Fields, I believe there's no appropriations, but I know there is a Judiciary Committee report.
Okay, no, the appropriation report, well, the committee report removes civil protection orders and modifies the right to receive a copy of the police report. I urge a yes vote.
All right. The question before the body is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the committee report signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1148 ensures the right of victims of crime to participate in the criminal justice system, and I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1148? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1148. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. House Bill 1148 passes. Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 14105. There is no committee report.
Oh, And Mr. Kohler, if you could please read the title of Senate Bill 105.
Senate Bill 105 by Senator Lambert, also Representatives Duran and Giroux, concerning the elimination of the requirement that a portion of the fees collected for the Water Resources Cash Fund be transferred to the State General Fund.
We heard the motion, but Representative Giroux, please continue.
Members, this bill will stop a despicable practice. The despicable practice of taking Water Resources Cash Fund and diverting it to the general fund. We need to stop this despicable practice. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 105? Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think I have anything else to add. Please just vote yes.
All right. Well, in that case, seeing no further discussion of Senate Bill 105, despicable or otherwise, the question before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 105. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Senate Bill 105 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to Senate Bill 107.
Senate Bill 107 by Senator Lambert, also Representative Duran, concerning the continuation of the Department of Law's authority to accept gifts, grants, and donations.
Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a great bipartisan joint budget committee bill. The bill continues the Department of Law's authorization to spend gifts, grants, and donations without an appropriation. And so just so our members know where these dollars go to, they go to programs like the auto theft.
Representative Duran, would you like to move it first?
Yes, I would,
All
actually. Right. Oh, my goodness. I move Senate Bill 107.
All right. Representative Duran, please continue.
Thank you. Gosh, not feeling too good today. So these dollars will go to things like the Auto Theft Prevention Grant, Victims Assistance, and Defense of the Republican River Compact. I ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 107? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 107. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. Senate Bill 107 is passed. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to Senate Bill 108.
Senate Bill 108 by Senator Hodge, also Representative Giroux, concerning the Department of Personnel revolving fund in connection with setting alternative target reserve for the fund and restricting spending of the capital outlay reserve.
Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 108. There is no committee report.
To the bill, Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is a joint budget committee bill that allows the DPA to revolve. I ask for an aye vote.
All right. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 108? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 108. All those in favor, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. Senate Bill 108 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 120.
Senate Bill 120 by Senator Hodge, also Representative May, concerning continuous appropriation of certain amounts of the State Employee Workers' Compensation Account in the Risk Management Fund.
Representative May.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 120, and there is no committee report.
To the bill, Representative
Thank you.
May.
All this bill does is allow for a certain portion of workmen's compensation to be continually appropriated. I'll get this out eventually. It does not contain directs or indirects. It's just the part where someone was injured and we were committed to make the payment, and it made no sense to have the department to come back over and over again to tell us that. So I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members on this side of the room, what the bill does is it takes care of our employees. Is it? Yeah, it is. It's Lent, isn't it? Anyway, it's a good bill. Please vote yes.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 120? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 120. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those in favor say no. Senate Bill 120 is passed. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1274.
House Bill 1274, Representatives Kraft, Tharp, and Holbert, also Senator John, concerning modification of certain limitations on the managers of a bank chartered by Colorado.
Representative Kraft Tharp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1274. There is no committee report.
All right, to the bill.
Thank you.
Representative Kraft Tharp.
Thank you. So, members, House Bill 1274 is a bill that makes some modifications in our state bank limits statutes. The current law prohibits a state bank from executing a contract for the employment of an officer for more than 1 year. It requires 2/3 of the directors of a state bank to be residents of the state.
Representative Holbert for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I do ask for an aye vote. The bill passed unanimously through the Business Committee. There was some opposition to the bill with some outside organizations that were originally opposed. I think maybe confusing this with a state bank. This has to do with state charters. The changes in this bill allow people who come from out of state to buy state charters to leave those charters in Colorado. The tax revenue would stay in Colorado. What we have right now are some unique provisions in our state charter requirements that sometimes buyers of state charters will move those charters out of state. There's no reason that we be the only state in the nation that does it this way. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1274? Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1274. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. House Bill 1274 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Bill 104.
Senate Bill 104 by Senator Lambert, also Representative Duran, concerning disposition of disputed payments of tobacco litigation settlement monies received by the state.
Representative Duran. Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 104.
All right, Senate Bill 104 is moved to.
Can you take a brief recess, please?
We will stand in a brief recess. We will come back to order. Representative Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I withdraw my motion to move Senate Bill 104. Instead, move Senate Bill 104 to appropriations.
Senate Bill 104 has been, the motion has been withdrawn, and a substitute motion to send this bill to appropriations has been made. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the question is moving Senate Bill 104 to the Appropriations Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Senate Bill 104 has been moved to the Appropriations Committee, or the Appropriations Committee. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1257 to the end of the calendar.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1257 has been laid over to the end of the calendar. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1271.
House Bill 1271, Representative Melton, also Senator Newell, concerning extending a mental health provider's duty to warn to include specific entities that have purposely damaged or attacked as a result of mental health patients' violent behavior would jeopardize public health and safety.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1271 and the Health, Insurance, and Environment Committee report.
To the committee report, Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in the Health Committee report, we did do an amendment. We were originally going to create a new terminology, a target entity. However, we decided that it would be much easier to not create this new language and instead amend that with persons, including those identifiable with their association with a specific location. We also made some technical changes so that way we were using person first. So therefore, we're not defining someone by their disability, but instead that they're a person with a disability. I ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of the Health Insurance and Environment Committee report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. The committee report passes. Representative Melton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so what 1271 is actually a bill that is really coming as a direct response from the Aurora Theater shooting. Currently, our statute pretty much says that if a threat is made to a specific person, to a mental health therapist or someone, a professional in the field, that the therapist has a duty to notify. So therefore, if I'm a therapist and I have a patient that says, I'm going to hurt my neighbor Bob, I have a duty to notify Bob and also law enforcement.
But if that same patient comes and says, I'm going to hurt a movie theater or I'm going to shoot at a school, there's little that I can do. It's unclear based on our current statute. And so what this bill does is it expands the duty to notify and the immunity beyond just specific people to people associated to a specific location. So therefore, if a threat is made towards one of our schools or a theater or some other public place, the therapist will then be able to have the tools to work with law enforcement and really protect our public interest and public safety. This bill did pass out of the Health Environment Committee unanimously, and I do ask for an aye vote on 1271. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1271? Seeing none, the question before the body is the passage of House Bill 1271. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. House Bill 1271 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to Senate Bill 59.
Senate Bill 59 by Senator Guzman, also Representative Lawrence, concerning eliminating the statute of limitations for offenses accompanying sex offenses that are not subject to statute of limitations.
Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I move Senate Bill 59 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the report, Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Judiciary Committee report basically had some language cleanup that removed a section of the law that was inadvertently put into the bill after the Senate had passed it. So it's just a cleanup of language, and I would ask for an aye vote.
Any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say no. The Judiciary Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill is an important step to bring justice to women who have been victims of sexual assaults by extending the statute of limitations on associated felonies that were committed during that same criminal episode. And it has the support of the AG's office, the DA's, and it came out of Judiciary Committee unanimously. And I would ask for an aye vote on this bill.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 59, Representative Court?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a good bill. We talked about it in the Judiciary Committee, and I think it was unanimous out of Judiciary, so I encourage an aye vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Senate Bill 59? Seeing no further discussion, the question is the passage of Senate Bill 59. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I heard that. Any opposed signify by saying no. Senate Bill 59 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to Senate Bill 009.
Senate Bill 9 by Senator Hodge, also Representative Moreno, concerning disclosure of possible separate ownership of the mineral estate and the sale of real property.
Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 9.
Senate Bill 9 has been moved. Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, it's a pleasure to bring to you Senate Bill 9. You may recall many facets of this bill from last year. It actually, in another form, House Bill 1368, passed unanimously out of the House last year. Unfortunately, we ran into some issues in the Senate and the stakeholders couldn't come to a complete agreement. So it's back to you in this form this year. And what this bill arose out of some of the conversations around the COGCC's setback rulemaking process, and is a direct response to some of the concerns that I've heard from my constituents. And that's that there isn't proper disclosure about mineral rights currently when you purchase a home. And we could do a lot more work in terms of making that clearer. This bill would make sure that the same level of disclosure is available to both original homeowners and subsequent homeowners that come after the first purchaser and buy that property. It's an important bill to make sure that consumers have all the information that they need, and with that, I would ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 009? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 109. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? No. Senate Bill 009 passes. Mr. Kohler, please read to the title to Senate Bill 60.
Senate Bill 60 by Senator Todd, also Representatives Corman and Williams, concerning the authorization of the Department of Transportation to conduct flag person training.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1460 on second reading.
And to the bill, Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is a bill that will actually update the training for our CDOT flaglers. It's going to update an old statute. I believe that this bill is very important because it will help with the safety with proper training and certification of our flaglers that are on our roads and highways. It passed unanimously out of committee, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 60? Seeing none, the question before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 60. All those in favor say aye. Well done. Any opposed signify by saying no. Senate Bill 60 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Kohler, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, Committee of the Whole begs leave to report is under consideration of following tax bills being second reading thereof and makes the following recommendations thereon. House Bills 1042 amended, 1089 amended, 1148 amended, 1186 amended, 1271 amended, 1274 passed on second reading and order gross placed on the counter for third and final passage. Senate Bills 959 amended, 60, 105, 107, 108, 120 passed on second reading and order revised and placed on the counter for third and final passage. Senate Bill 104 referred to the Committee on Appropriations.
Representative Singer. You've heard the motion. There are no amendments at the desk. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote on a report of the Committee of the Whole. And Representative Singer, please return the pen you stole from my desk. Every day I never have a pen because everyone comes up here and takes them.
People in power problems.
Representatives Becker, Everett, Humphrey, Kagan, Kraft-Tharp, Lee, Pedersen, Priola, Rankin, and Sonnenberg. Close the machine with 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent. The report of the committee of the whole is adopted. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to lay over SJR 11 until March 25th.
Seeing no objection, SJR 11 will lay over till March 25th. We will proceed to our next order of business, consideration of Senate amendments to House bills. Mr. Kohler, please read the title to House Bill 1051.
House Bill 1051, Representative Schaefer and Landgraf, all Senator Gonzalez, concerning a strategic plan for enrolling all eligible persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities in programs of time services and sports in need in connection with requiring the Department of Healthcare Policy and Finance to develop and implement the strategic plan and report annually on the number of persons waiting for services and supports.
Representative Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House, concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1051.
Please explain what the useless body did.
The useless body actually found something that looks like a good idea. As part of the strategic plan to reduce and eventually provide all the services for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities, said that the plan from the Healthcare Policy and Finance Department should address community-centered boards and providers shall report on the use and effectiveness of any monies appropriated within the preceding state fiscal year for increasing system capacity. I think it's a good addition. Don't know that it's really needed, but if the Senate wants to have it, I think it's a good idea. I ask for your support.
Representative Landgraf?
I concur and ask for your support.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before the body is to adopt or concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1051. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Landgraf and Pedersen. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, the House concurs in Senate amendments to House Bill 1051. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1051 as amended.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is the repassage of House Bill 1051 on as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representatives Duran, McLaughlin. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 0 no votes, 1 excused, and 0 absent, the House repasses House Bill 1051. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1052.
House Bill 1052, Representative Fisher, also Senator Jones, concerning increasing the enforcement authority of groundwater management districts.
Representative Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1052.
Please explain what the Senate did.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, they made further clarifications that a groundwater management district has to provide notice in an order consistent with the local district's rules, and then laid out a process and steps that need to be taken if there are no local rules regarding the notification of affected well owners. And that's essentially what it did, and I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, the work the Senate did is actually makes the bill better. I would urge for your support for the amendment. However, it's still a bad bill, and I would urge a no vote on the bill after we pass the amendment or pass the concurrence.
So the question before the House is concurrence of Senate amendments to House Bill 1052. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Pabon and Williams. Close the machine. With 64 aye votes, 1 no vote, 0 excused, and 0 absent, the House concurs in Senate amendments to House Bill 1052. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1052 as amended.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the repassage of House Bill 1052 as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Melton. Close the machine. With 38 aye votes, 27 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent, the House repasses House Bill 1052. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1073.
House Bill 1073, Representative Pabon, Senator Rivera, concerning the recording of legal documents.
Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I move that the House concur with Senate amendments.
Please explain why the Senate's smarter than you, Representative Pabon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In fact, the interesting part of the statute that the amendment decided to amend was about verification of death certificates. They felt that it was important that it be enumerated that instead of a certificate of death utilized when a passing has taken place, that a verification of death document be used by the Office of Vital Statistics to ensure that the information contained on that verification of death document has the name of the decedent, the date of death, all the information you need to verify a death, but not actually having the death certificate.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before the House is to concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1073. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Hey, Pabon. 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 Were you trying to do that in monotone? Close the machine with 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent. The House concurs in Senate amendments to House Bill 1073. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1073 as amended.
Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Pabon, I apologize. I didn't move fast enough with this amendment. What I'm curious about, and you and I talked about this a little bit in the well, so say I'm the executor of a relative's estate and I'm supposed to be furnishing those death certificates. Is the intent of what the Senate did that you can use that verification of death instead of the death certificates? Okay, thank you, sir.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is the repassage of House Bill 1073 as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representatives Conti, Fields. Close the machine with 61 aye votes, 4 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent. The House repasses House Bill 1073 as amended. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of House Bill 1122.
House Bill 1122, Representative Kagan, all Senator Newell, concerning provisions to keep legal marijuana from underage persons.
Representative Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House concur with the Senate amendments to House Bill 1122.
Thank you, Representative Kagan. Please proceed to tell us what they did.
Members, the other place successfully clarified the bill without changing its substance, but making clear that when the opaque resealable packages that we require by regulation now are required, that they are specified in statute that they be opaque and resealable. Before, we had it simply that they must conform to the rules set forth by the Department of Revenue. So this tightens up and clarifies that when you say that the exit package has to be in conformity with the rules, those rules are under statute now, opaque and resealable. It also clarifies the existing prohibition against marketing to minors that's existing in law now, that you can't market marijuana to minors. It clarifies that what we mean by minors is persons under 21 years of age, because there was some doubt about that. And so because these amendments clarify the intention of the original bill, I urge that we concur in the Senate amendments.
Seeing no further discussion, the question for the House is to concur in Senate amendments to House Bill 1122. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representative May. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent, the House concurs in Senate amendments to House Bill 1122. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1122 as amended.
Seeing no discussion, the question for the House is the repassage of House Bill 1122 as amended. Mr. Kohler, please open the machine, and members proceed to vote. Representative Lebsack. Close the machine. With 65 aye votes, 0 no votes, 0 excused, and 0 absent, House Bill 1122 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Close the machine. Announcements and introductions. Representative, Mr. Assistant Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, we have a very special guest in the chamber this morning.
I don't know about that.
Mr. Speaker, our special guest is a former member of this body. He served with distinction as minority leader, perhaps the greatest minority leader this body has ever seen.
Hey, I was minority leader once, too.
Perhaps the greatest minority leader this body has ever seen. Please join me in welcoming Representative Sal Pace to the chamber.
Isn't that Commissioner Pace? Yeah, that pays more. Representative Waller to poke fun at Representative and Commissioner Pace.
No, I was just going to say, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just going to say perhaps maybe next year Representative Pabon will get the chance to become the best minority leader this House has ever seen.
Touche. Representative McCann, unless Representative Giroux has something about Representative Pabon. Representative Giroux.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Actually, it was for former Representative Pace. You know, there are so many members of this body that wish you were here so that I could pick on you instead of them. I miss you so much.
Representative McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's a hard act to follow, but I think they have left. But we did have several students from the 8th grade at Grant Ranch Middle School who were here in the gallery, and I don't think any of them are still here, but we can still give them a round of applause.
Representative Primavera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was asked to remind the body that tomorrow, Thursday, March 6th, is Lobby Day for the American Cancer Society. Cancer Action Network volunteers will be here, and they also wanted me to remind you that March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, so be prepared to talk to some of your constituents tomorrow.
Representative Singer, pen thief.
I returned it, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder, House Local Government, we will see you at 1:30 on the dot. Lots of fire bills, lots of flood bills. So I look forward to doing good work with you today at 1:30.
Representative Riden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members of the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. In case you're still thinking it's like Monday or having a hard time knowing what day it is today with the late start, we are meeting on adjournment. We have two bills up, House Bill 1033 for action only, and Senate Bill 96. Thank you.
Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Education Committee will meet at 11:30. We have two bills. If we do good work, we should be finished by noon.
That's ambitious. Good luck. Seeing no announcements, other announcements or introductions, Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until 1 p.m. this afternoon, at which point we will adjourn until March 6th at 9 a.m.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess until 1 p.m. today. We'll see you back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.